So the Ukrainian army has captured a few North Koreans, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. It is Saturday, January 11th, 2025. My name is Darren Gerdes, and this is the Daily Brief. I'm just trying to provide context in the war in Ukraine. So with everything I do, I'm trying to help you think and understand and frame what's going on. Okay, 1570 Russians off the battlefield, 10 tanks, 18 armored fighting vehicles, 28 artillery systems, 61 vehicles and fuel tanks, and another air defense system was taken out by the Ukrainians yesterday. Okay, so let's look at the drones that Russia shot at Ukraine before we look at the drones that Ukraine has fired and targeted Russia with. Overnight, Russia launched 74 Shahed drones. In total, 47 were shot down. 27 were suppressed by electronic warfare. So shot down means pretty much, generally speaking, that they're taken out. 27 suppressed by electronic warfare means that they were diverted, but they can still do some damage. And so here we see that a Russian drone hits a civilian car in Zaporizhzhia. One woman is killed, 4 are injured. So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily neutralized, but it's not hitting wherever the targets are. Hopefully it is more neutralized than not, but things still happen. Okay, Andrew Perpetua doesn't have his list out yet, but he posted this. Russia said Zelensky must speak with a level of diplomacy right after firing bombs into civilians and a tram in Zaporizhzhia. I've seen unedited footage of the attack, large numbers of amputations, 120 people wounded. This was a couple days ago in the middle of the day. But they better speak diplomatically. Really? Okay. So the Ukrainians are firing their drones at the Russians as well. This is some video of a Ukrainian drone. It's on its way toward the direction of the Ingles air base, it looks like, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen with it, and I haven't seen a lot of footage about that. What I have seen is this. Drone attack injures 7 people in Russia's Tambov region. Russian air defense systems intercepted 85 drones across multiple oblasts overnight, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. So what does it mean by intercepted? Counted or actually shot down? It's an open question what they mean by that. Ukrainian drones reportedly attack Russian-occupied Crimea. Russian telegram channels reported that Russian air defenses intercepted drones over Sevastopol and Kerch. Drones allegedly operated over the Black Sea, accompanied by helicopters and tanks in the regions. Okay. Last night, Ukrainian drones hit the port of Novorossiysk in Russia. It's unclear what was hit, but there's something on fire. We don't know exactly what it is. But generally speaking, with these kind of events, within a day or two, you see more and more, and you can understand what's going on. And you'll see an example of that in just a moment. Another explosive night in Russia. Ukrainian UAVs struck the Tambov region. At least 11 injuries there reported after debris hit an apartment building. So now it could be debris, but they say debris so often that I'm just skeptical. They also visited all these other areas overnight as well. Now, sometimes I say, we'll find out the next day or a day after or whatever. It's reported that the oil depot in Engels, Russia, has been on fire now for 4 days. Firemen are still unable to put out that blaze. So that's what I mean by we'll like if we hear something today, we just keep an eye on it and look for it the next day, and very often we find out more about it. Okay, here's the big story, the headline. This is Zelensky saying our soldiers have captured North Korean military personnel in the Kursk region. 2 soldiers, though wounded, survived and were transported to Kyiv, where they're now communicating with the security service of Ukraine. This was not an easy task. Russian forces and other North Korean military personnel usually execute their wounded to erase any evidence of North Korea's involvement in the war against Ukraine. Now, I also understand from Greg Terry and other things that I've read that North Koreans apparently have a reputation. They're like almost like robotic in a sense that they just will keep going. They've been so brainwashed. They think that they're protecting Kim by what they're doing. I mean, it's kind of nuts. Okay, I'm grateful to the soldiers of the Tactical Group Number 84 of the Special Operations Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as well as our paratroopers who captured these two individuals. As with all prisoners of war, these two North Korean soldiers are receiving the necessary medical assistance. I've instructed the Security Service of Ukraine to grant journalists access to these prisoners. The world needs to know the truth about what is happening. So, okay. Yeah, that's where they are. So, no more denials coming. There's no North Koreans here. Okay. Now, let's look at the front line analysis and just for the intensity of where the fighting is. In the Seversk direction, invaders attacked Ukraine defenders twice. In Horlivka, 5 times. In the Kharkiv directions, our troops repelled 5 enemy attacks. In the Kupiansk direction, invaders stormed Ukrainian positions 11 times. In the Vremika direction, 12 attacks. In the Liman direction, invaders attacked Ukrainian defenders 39 times. Now, I understand. Now, look at the map here, too. I understand Liman is very hot right now, and they're really trying to press. Liman's down here. Izium is over here. Just Kupiansk is up here. So it's apparently another place that they really, really, really want to have some kind of progress being shown. 61 attacks near Pokrovsk. And again, here's the map. And look how close they are to the city of Pokrovsk and its sister city here. And they're attacking all across the line. Not directly at Pokrovsk, but it looks like they're going to try to go around and then envelop Pokrovsk if they can gain enough ground. All right. Now, I was hoping to do a live stream this morning at 9 o'clock. That did not happen. The idea was a good idea, but I've learned over time that family dynamics mean I can't plan things. In fact, I tell my kids what I'm planning to do at the last hour or last minute just because, okay, get in the car. Why? Where are we going? Well, I'm going to tell you because if I tell them on Monday that on Saturday we're going to do something and then something gets in the way, it's a disappointment. But if I tell them at the last hour. So at any rate, going to do a live stream this morning and then a kid was up throwing up. So yeah, that's not, I'm still on call right now. I have one ear kind of focused on the door so that if anything goes wrong, this is kind of a pause. At any rate, so sorry about that. Now, I did put this out on my post and said, I'm curious how you think I can improve my videos. And I got 200 some odd responses. I read nearly all of them as of late last night when I went to sleep. So thank you for your feedback. That's really helpful, whether it's audio or video or, whatever the issues are. It helps me understand. One of the most helpful things that was being said here is like, hey, do what you find interesting because that will help you sustain. A lot of people saying like take some time off or that sort of thing. I get that, but do what I find interesting. So I'm going to come back to that theme in just a moment. But I also put this out. What do you look forward to in my videos most? Something at the end, which I actually thought this was going to be the winner because I usually try to end with something either funny or touching or something along those lines. I only got 10%. A teachable moment where you're getting aha, 24%. I didn't think that was going to be there, but I look forward to that myself. And so that's why I'm trying to draw out these lessons. So that's why that was so high. Drones, I'm fascinated by this innovation, only 6%, but I'm still fascinated. So I'm going to do it anyway because, well, I'm fascinated by it. And then political connections that others might not make, 61%. So, but basically these two categories are something similar in the something that's an aha that you get because you saw this. And that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so, but that's what I'm going to be trying to do more is following my own, like, hey, this is really interesting. What do you think about that? We'll come back to that in just a minute. Now, I also put this poll out, and I can't believe that people answered the way that they did. Just a little poll for those who may or may not view my YouTube channel. I am and you choose one, a smart, well-informed, good-looking subscriber, or none of those things. 27% said none of those things. I mean, I was expecting to get a lot of ha 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 comments. I can't believe that 27% said I'm none of those things. Anyway, okay. So at any rate, following my own interests. Here's a Ukrainian FPV drone with 2 shotguns. It intercepts a Russian drone and chases a Russian infantryman. So it's not just the drone going after other drones, but drone with shotguns now chasing the infantry. And you do see in this particular video, this drone is about to end it. I mean, they will shoot at it. I'm not going to show that on YouTube, but wow. Okay. No amount of Russian disinformation will ever change the simple fact that citizens in the Russian colony of East Germany risk tea and death every day trying to escape the West. Repression, poverty, infrastructural decay, and other hallmarks of Russian culture made life in a GDR heck. A quick look. Oh, by the way, I also edit everything because I try to be family friendly. So when even minor profanities, I try to tamp out. Okay, a quick look at per capita GDP, West Germany and East Germany. Now, look at that chart. Like, isn't that amazing? And I think part of what's going on here is that Ukraine going to the Western sphere as opposed to being within Russia's orbit, it'll change. It'll have this kind of dynamic over time after the war between where Russia is and where Ukraine is as they unleash the energies within their people. And they're doing that in meaningful ways right now, unleashing the enemy, the entrepreneurialness, trying to build a military defense sector. And when people come back from the West, they're going to see a significant shift as well, because all the cross-pollinated ideas that come back are going to be substantial and helpful. Okay, now I told you I was going to follow more of what I find interesting. So this is not news. This is commentary, but I'm curious what you think about this. Propaganda is necessary, actually. There is absolutely no justification for the reality that the West is not actively defending the minds of its people through paid influencers. Now, I'm not a paid influencer. Nobody from Ukraine is paying me anything, or from any government anywhere is paying me anything. I do this of my own free will because I'm fascinated by it, and I feel like I have a moral obligation to support Ukraine. So, but they're saying that they should be developing and cultivating paid influencers just as Russia does. I'm not sure about that. Tell me what you think. No matter how you attempt to spin this neglect, the fact remains this is a war. Refusing to fight back does not make the situation any better. And the rise of far-right sentiment in Europe and the United States is a surprise to no one. This is malicious neglect that touches the domain of treason. So tell me what you think in the comments below about this. Should Ukraine and NATO, let's say, be using paid influencers in the way that the Russians have been proven to have been doing? I'm just curious what you think. Churchill famously said in wartime, truth is so precious that she should always be attended by a bodyguard of lies. Now, that's to keep the enemy from knowing things, but it goes, this seems to go a little bit deeper than what Churchill was saying. Okay. This is another interesting concept that I found, like myself thinking about and going, yeah, I think there's something here. Poverty is integral to Russia's war machine as its missiles and bombs. Now, that's because then they can buy people into their army. But it's the same kind of thing. Poverty is also very often correlated with ignorance, like lack of education. And what we know is that democracies necessarily must have an educated population, and ignorance or lack of education helps dictatorships tend to thrive. Assuredly, a steady supply of cannon fodder for foreign wars is as simple as making life not worth living. So I think there's something there. I'm not exactly sure what to say, but if you have some thoughts, put it there. Okay, a couple last things. Happy birthday to my sister. This is my show after all, and I figure I'll reach out this way and say happy birthday. You know who you are. Look, I'm being efficient as well. Now I don't have to pick up the phone and call. No, I'm just kidding. I'll still call you later. All right. And I'll leave you with this, just because I find it interesting. These guys are in the middle of a war and yet can find some time to enjoy themselves. So, all right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.